Before we get started, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this episode, and for all the past listens and feedback I've received. I really appreciate it. I'd like something else from you, though. If you could please go out onto iTunes. iTunes is the key. Even if that's not where you listen to podcasts, go on iTunes, leave This Is Happymess a 5-star review. That, somehow, I don't know exactly how that works, but those 5-star reviews unlock the world to other people getting this podcast. I'd really, really appreciate it. So please, get out there. It takes like 5 minutes of your time, maybe even less. You don't have to write a story. You can just be like, 5 stars, good show. And I appreciate it. So please, do me a favor. I really appreciate you listening to this in the first place, but if you can go leave a review, that would be great. All right, let's get the show going.
Right now I am feeling a feeling, and it is not a very good feeling. I do not know what to call this feeling I feel.
I'm not perfect, but I'm this, that, and this. My hands are dirty and I'm this, that, and this. You've been searching for this, that, and this. Let's break the surface and make a little happy mess. I'm not perfect, but I'm this, that, and this. My hands are dirty and I'm this, that, and this. You've been searching for this, that, and this. Let's break the surface and make a little happy mess.
Welcome to the 5th episode of This Is Happymess. I'm your host, as always, Brandon Gurnix, ready to open up with hopes you'll join me. Thank you for stopping by. This Is Happymess is a podcast about life, love, pain, and the pursuit of happiness. It's also designed as a self-therapy method for me to help cope with my own anxiety and depression. Though the show covers a wide range of topics, at its core is the human connection between one another, the building of stronger communication, and a desire to navigate through the happy mess of life. And I've got to say, after 5 episodes, it's getting a little bit smoother to say all that. Bear with me, by the time we reach episode 30, I think it's going to sound actually a little bit natural. Today's episode will be centered around social anxiety in group settings. To help me do this, I'm joined by 2 very special guests. My first guest is a person you've heard mentioned on the show before. Besides my wife, this guest probably knows more about me than anyone else on this planet, as I've openly ranted to her since she was practically born. She's about 10 years younger than me, often about 10 years wiser than me. Maybe not true. Truly one of the best writers and greatest minds I've ever known. Welcome to This Is Happymess, my younger sister, Sydney.
Hello, I don't have an MSW.
No? Okay. One day, maybe. And my second guest, who I wouldn't call second best, is someone who I admittedly didn't have as strong of a connection with as early as I wish I would have, but someone who I grow fonder of more and more and more with time, aging like a fine wine. This guest is so cool to me that at points in my life, I've tried to bite his music tastes, clothing styles, haircuts, and more that you'd think he was my big brother. But rather, he's my younger brother. Welcome to This Is Happymess, Zach.
Hi.
Hey. So, which one got the nicer intro, you think?
Alyssa.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach, wasn't hers like a mile
really
long? Like,
Well, when there's one guest, it's like easier to just be like,
yeah,
I could talk about them, but
forever.
am I really going to talk forever? And then like, Zach's just like sitting here waiting, like, all right, is he going to get to me? Is he going to get to mine?
What's he going to say about me?
Yeah. And then I'm like, and then Zach. And I've known like Alyssa like 10 years more than I know you. So it's easier. I have more stories.
I can't help that.
Well,
I can't control that.
you could have been born sooner. Maybe if you were born sooner, things would have been better.
Shoot.
Think about that. Maybe if Zach wasn't born, things would have been better.
Oh my God.
But I'm glad you were born. Because actually things would have been worse. How you guys doing today? I'm just kidding. Don't answer that question because I don't ask that question. We're not asking how are you doing.
No small talk, remember?
No small talk because that's what we start the show off with was better small talk. And how are you doing is like one of the worst. I think
The worst.
Do you think it's the worst? Is there any small talk that's worse than how are you doing?
How's school going?
Yeah.
Ooh.
What else
What
are
are
you
your
supposed to
hobbies?
say?
How's work going? Because that's, that's like my version of that now. Yeah.
What are you supposed to say? Good?
Well,
terrible?
Work's
I
going
hate
awesome,
it.
yeah. Fuck
I get
yeah.
paid. I learned some things, but I hate it.
That's true. No one wants to know either.
Yeah. They just ask to ask.
They just go ass to ass? Is that what you said? Next time someone asks you, like, how's school going? And be like, are you just asking to ask me? Are you trying to ask me right now? Is that what this is?
I get it.
You get it? You get it? Okay. Well, look. I've got something for you here. So last night, I went to a comedy show. Shawn Wayne's. You know Shawn Wayne's? It was actually, I don't know if it was ironic or on purpose, but you were watching Scary Movie last night.
That was really ironic.
Yeah. I was like, wow.
Well, I don't know about Zach. He's the one who suggested it, so maybe he was biting you.
Oh, so maybe he bites me too.
Yeah.
Well, I love Scary Movie. Scary Movie 2. Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
So good.
The Wayans Brothers show back in the day, I used to watch that too. So I was pretty excited to see Shawn Wayne's live.
It wasn't good?
No. And you know what it is like, okay, a lot of the humor from the 90s, early 2000s, even the ones that don't like necessarily hold up now, you're like, well, that was the time, and I get it. But I feel like he's still trying to, like, he still has the same mentality, the same humor, same jokes. And you're like, dude, this is 2017, man. That's fucking homophobic. Or whatever, Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of that, like, it's very misogynistic. It was very homophobic. It was very, just like, and I get, like, with comedy, like, you don't necessarily want to be, like, very PC. You have to be funny, though. Like, you have to be really funny to, like, pull that off, I think.
Yeah.
Or not be so lazy, like, and just, like, rely on stereotypes. I feel like you can. There's really clever comedians out there that aren't that way. And so I was thinking about that, though. Like, I really do love comedy, even though that was really disappointing.
I anticipated that it wasn't going to be good when I saw that on your story or whatever you posted it on. I was like, oh, I doubt that's going to be good. Like, really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have gotten it. Like, my friend Cecilia is the one who invited me, and she got the tickets. Mm-hmm. So, like, I didn't even have like a financial investment into it. I probably wouldn't have like I would have seen his name and I'd be like, oh, Shawn Wayne's. I used to love like a lot of the things he did, like 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I would have like bought a ticket. But whatever. It's okay. But I was trying to think of like people that like who do you find as like some of the funniest people to you? Like when you see that they're doing something, you're just like you're in, and it doesn't have to be like some definitive list or anything, but if you can just think of a couple people like that you really find to be some of like the most hilarious people, either past or present. I'll give you an example so you can like think for a second, but like Aziz Ansari, like between like just appearances in movies, Parks and Rec, Master of None. I was like blanking out on the show. Master of None's probably like my favorite show on TV right now, and
yeah, I love that show.
It's so good. Like the first season to me was perfect, and then the second season somehow like topped it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then and just the stand-ups too. Like they're all funny to me, So when I like, he just like is nailing it, I think like right now he's one of my favorite comedians, and and I was also like Kate McKinnon. Do you know who that is? Mm-mm. She's on Saturday Night Live. She was also in Ghostbusters, which I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that one.
But like I just keep seeing her like pop up in movies. She's not like the main character of anything, but she just keeps popping up. And every time she walks, like she's in a scene, I just feel like she steals it. Like she's in Office Christmas Party. I don't know if you saw that one. It wasn't even that great of a movie, but it was just like anytime she came on screen, I was like dying of laughter, and so, and I don't even like Saturday Night Live that much, but anytime I see her on it, I'm like, okay, so she's the one that was parodying Hillary Clinton during the election, which I don't know if you watch any of those skits, but she's so funny. So those are like the two for me right now that are just top of the game.
Honestly, I don't like comedy. I don't even like laughing.
You don't like to laugh?
I mean, like when I'm watching.
I don't like laughing. Don't make me laugh because I hate it.
Okay, but when I'm.
Who says that though? I'm just saying. Go ahead.
No. When I watch stuff, I don't like laughing. I usually choose something that'll make me cry or like think about life. But whenever I think of the category comedy, I just like assume that it's someone trying too hard to be funny. So like, in my opinion, okay, definitely, what's his name? Adam Sandler. He's like the first person that I think of like try too hard. But also more recently, like Kevin Hart. Like I used to like him, but then like I don't know, his jokes just got like old to me. Like, yeah, they're just like not funny. And so like now I look at comedians as like, I don't really care for them unless I'm, doing drugs or something. But like sober, I never watch comedies ever.
Man, like I do not want
hate
to laugh.
Laughing.
No laughing for me. I do find Kevin Hart to be overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, I tend to not really like him in the movies I've seen him in.
Yeah.
But yeah. I did watch the first season of Real Husbands of Hollywood, and I thought that show was hilarious. But I don't know that it was him. Like I think it was like Nick Cannon and like people that you wouldn't expect to be funny. I thought were really like making that show for me. But his stand up, like I don't. Yeah, I think people really love his stand up, and I'm like,
no.
it's funny, but I don't like. I don't know. It doesn't. Yeah. I can vibe with you there.
I like shows like Parks and Rec and like Arrested Development. Have you ever seen that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Love
I
Arrested Development.
like those characters. Those people are funny to me because they're just like they're not trying to be funny.
What? Jason Bateman's one of those people to me.
He's funny.
Where like anything I see him in, I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of interested just because I really like this guy.
Yeah. Okay. I guess. Yeah. He's pretty funny.
You know who I think is really funny? Chelsea Peretti. Do you watch her?
I don't know, and you've told me about her, and I still haven't.
Zach forced me and Alyssa to watch her.
He tried, but I still never.
Yeah, and they thought it was funny.
It was funny.
Was it really funny?
But then he like wanted us to finish it.
Was it a stand-up?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
It was a stand-up.
Oh yeah, but she has a podcast, and that's so funny. I listened to that like all summer last year.
Chelsea Peretti. Anybody out there listening? That's I need to check it out. It's it's just that we talk about it and then I forget about it by the time, and it's not a name I like see popping up. Like so, I'm not like, oh, Chelsea Peretti. That's the one that Zach was telling me. But yeah, she's not from what. And then when you say Chelsea, Chelsea Handler pops in my head, and so I just like automatically just like associate it with that, and I'm like, oh, I probably won't like it. And it probably has something to do with her, right?
Two different girls.
Totally, yeah. It's just Chelsea. I don't know.
No.
All right. That's Chelsea Peretti, and nobody for Sydney because Sydney hates comedy.
Make me cry instead.
Adam Sandler is like interesting to me because I don't know if I used to think he like grew unfunny over the years. But I don't think that's the case. I just think that he has like an age-specific humor that never changed. And like when I was young, I really like when I was a kid, like literally a child, I really thought he was hilarious. He was like the funniest person on the planet to me. Billy Madison and like Happy Gilmore to me were like the funniest movies ever. And Big Daddy and but like when I go back and watch his movies now, I'm like, oh, they're not like. It's not that hit like so in my mind it's like, oh, the movies he makes now just aren't funny because he's changed.
Yeah.
I don't think he's changed so much as he just as everybody else changes and he doesn't.
And he didn't change. That's really true actually, cuz all the characters he plays are like childish, immature, like a grown up not wanting to grow up kind of thing, I never realized that. I
do really like him, though, in Funny People, which I don't know if you like that. A lot of people don't.
Is it new?
Not, like, really new, like, within the last 5 years. It's a... like kind of it's with Seth Rogen too, but it's like kind of a drama though.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a comedian who made a lot of shitty movies and whatnot. It's like basically like he's making
His
fun of
life.
himself, right?
Mhm.
And he's dying. He finds out he's dying, and so he's like reflecting on his life, and it's very serious. It's really good though. I really like that movie. But I mean, there's a lot of comedians in it, like that make little appearances and whatnot. And he's in Punch Drunk Love. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I love that
and
movie.
that's really good.
That movie was good, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't funny.
No,
like
no.
it was just a really good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a good job in that.
So he has potential, but not as a comedy person, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's for kids though. Like, if kids.
Will Ferrell was that guy for me, like who I thought
Mm.
was so funny when I was younger.
I
Mhm.
never thought he was funny.
But now, no. Like once I hit middle school, I was like, no, he's not.
See, and I think like I didn't like him like when I was a little younger, and like maybe even like the beginning of his peak, I really didn't like him. I didn't get it, and then he like grew on me for like a while, like right out of high school, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, yeah, I feel kind of the same way. But I still like stuff like Anchorman, and like I could still go back and watch that stuff. But maybe it's like partly just like nostalgia.
The era, yeah.
But and I think he does better as a side character. Like I like him in Old School, which I don't know if I like Old School. I used to regard Old School as one of my favorite movies, and I don't know if it holds up, to me today. But I like him in that side role, like a small character. I think this small talk was pretty good though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
I
feeling
forgot
it?
what we were talking about.
Yeah. Look, that's it. And I know it's small talk. It was very small, but it's better small talk. So next time you're out somewhere and you're like, man, I'm gonna be stuck in a situation where we gotta have small talk. Be like, hey man, what comedians do you like these days? And then Sydney would be like, nobody. I do not laugh. Do not try to make me laugh. I will be so upset. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get in this episode and what it's all about. Now we're gonna get heavy now. No more of this laughter.
Good.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So this is about social anxiety in group settings, and so I'm gonna give you my little spiel here. But that is Yoshi in the background giving a little shout out. We have him
he
tied
knew we
up to
were
a
starting.
chair. Yeah. He's like, finally. I don't like laughing either. So social anxiety is a piece. It's under this anxiety umbrella. It affects the lives of many people to different degrees. Everybody, kind of relates to it different, but I'd say it's one of the more common, forms of anxiety. It's something that's certainly like a big challenge in my day-to-day life. But it's like this irrational anxiousness that you have whenever you're in a social situation. Now, we can talk about so many different types of social anxiety, and I'm sure we will, on future episodes. But today I really wanted to focus on social anxiety when you're in a group. Now, I'm looking at group as bigger, one more person than what we have here. So, there's 3 of us, maybe like 4 is like.
Okay.
I think groups of 2 and 3 are kind of like a different kind of social anxiety. But once you start expanding that, it is what I'm really referring to when I talk about groups. So I guess just to start this off, we can share. I want to hear some like examples, And who wants to start?
Zach, you start.
Popcorn Zach. Oh, that's exactly what I hate in group anxiety.
Well, like, what do you mean?
Like, what's the
Yes.
most recent form?
First,
what's the
I
most
know you.
recent
Actually,
example?
let's wind it back because
Okay.
I've started this by making an assumption that you both have anxiety in
okay.
group situations like I do, which is possibly not even true. I imagine there's a lot of people who don't have problems in group settings. Because I know you're my siblings and I know we're all fucked up.
Yeah.
I kind of assume that you do, but to start this off, is this something that you deal with, Zach?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Okay. Now that you know that it's something that you deal with.
Well, I guess school, just being in a classroom, that's kind of group anxiety.
How so, though? Like,
well, actually, I don't know.
so like what are the things that kind of get to you most in a like classroom setting?
Well, presenting obviously, but I think that's a different category.
Public speaking.
Yeah, it's like a public. Yeah.
When your teacher like assigns you to groups with people you don't know in the classroom,
yeah,
and you
I
guys
second
like
that.
are forced to communicate with each other, I hate that.
Yeah, that's really those ones are rough.
Yeah.
Or like.
Or when you...
What about when they say to find a partner?
Yeah. I was just about to say
Okay.
that. When they say to choose a group and you only have... Or you have, like, no close enough friends in that class.
Yeah.
And then you're just kind of hanging out, waiting for someone to maybe ask you. I don't know.
Has this happened to you yet? This you just started school, so it's very new semester or new school year. But sometimes those first days are like the hardest. Have you had any issues yet?
Not really. Not like really bad, but yeah, there's... Well, no, not really.
Okay.
I haven't been talking to anyone during my class periods. Just been kind of keeping to myself.
When you're not talking to people in your class, are you like mentally aware? Like, are you mentally thinking about the fact that you're not talking to people, or are you just not talking to people? Like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
Are you mentally? Yeah, you're like, man, I'm not talking to anybody. That's weird, or that's I should be talking to somebody.
Well, I think it's a little different right now because the first day of school, it's like your teacher is giving you instructions and telling you a bunch of stuff, so there's not really time to talk to anyone. But I guess, yeah, kind of thinking about it.
I mean, do you see people around you talking to each other?
Yeah.
They're whispering right now.
I mean, because I while I totally agree with you, I also I have been in classroom settings, and it's like, I'm like, how the fuck do you even know each other? Like, they're all. I mean, sometimes that's how I feel. I mean, obviously high school is different, but college, I'm like everybody like walks in and they're all best friends already too, and I'm like, what? I don't know anybody in this class, but
Yeah.
But people are talking to each other, and yeah, okay. We'll probably talk more about school settings, but let's jump to you, Sid.
Okay, I definitely experienced social anxiety in every level, but the most recent one. So the thing about social anxiety is, like, not only am I anxious to go to whatever it is or like participate in whatever group thing it is, but I'm also anxious about I completely lost my train of thought. I completely blanked.
You are my sister.
Oh my god, I have such a bad memory. Okay, come back to me. Don't make me.
Oh,
wait. Okay, I
go
remember.
ahead.
Okay. No. Okay, go ahead.
I like the definitely like the classroom setting, is one of those ones that I always think of the most because I struggle. But one that I also find is even just amongst friends, or family, right? Like if I'm with a small group like this, I don't have as much anxiety. It still exists, but it's so like damp compared to how bad it is. It's not moist. I
was like, damp?
I was like, yeah. I was like, why did I use the word damp? But so for example, like with friends, if I'm one-on-one with a friend, like I can have great conversations and talk about a lot of things. Maybe even with a group of three, because the group of three allows also for those like two people to talk. So there's never the awkward silence also. Right. So I love the group of three. But sometimes when the group gets bigger, I find myself just getting lost, and I don't know how to talk, and I'm like, and I start thinking about it though, and I'm like, oh, I'm not talking, like I'm not giving my input, you know. And so, like, for example, I went to a bachelor party not that long ago, a few months ago, I guess, and and it was like, unless I was one-on-one with somebody, I like was not talking, and I'd just be listening to people, and sometimes like a lot of time would pass, and I don't realize that I'm not like actively part of it, and then it just gets in my head, because then I'm like freaking out. Oh my God, I'm not talking. What, you know, what's going on here? And I just like get so lost in group settings, where I don't necessarily feel like myself. I feel like in groups people don't know who I am, because I don't put myself out there the way I would if I was in a small group or alone, obviously. Did the other one pop in your head?
No, but kind of going off of that, like, I kind of agree with you and kind of don't. I guess mine is different, where, like, if I'm not talking in a group, so say we do have, say it's a group of 10, and I know maybe 3 of the people, and so the rest are strangers or, like, acquaintances. That's when I start to get nervous, but it's not like I'm not actively thinking, oh, did I say enough things? Like, did I talk 5 minutes ago? Did I talk right now? You know, like, am I adding to the conversation? I don't think about those things. I get more anxiety about, like, why I'm actually there. Like, I start thinking about, like, what could I have, like, I should have just stayed home, or what could I have been doing with my time instead of coming here when I know I'm not going to have fun. Like, when I'm getting ready, that's when I'm most anxious, because I know I never have fun at, say, parties or big social events, but then I push myself to go to try to break out of my bubble, and then once I'm there, I always regret it. Like, I'm always like, okay, I really should have just stayed home. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth the hassle. And, like, I also get really anxious about just, like, what the conversation content is. Like, I was telling Zach in the car, we were talking about the questions you gave us, and I think my problem is that I just choose groups that aren't, like, my equals, I guess, or my perceived equals, or they don't have, like, enriched lives or interesting lives. I don't know. Like, I always put myself into group settings that are just not fun for me, and so I end up being the quiet one, or I don't say anything, or I go off to the corner and I be by myself, and then I don't really care how everyone looks at me, because I'm just like, basically, F you guys, like, I'm not having fun. Everyone should know I'm not having fun. But yeah, see, that's my rant.
And that's really good, and like I can relate to a lot of that, and I can also like not relate in like the sense like I want people to think I'm having fun, you know, like I don't want there to be a perception that I'm not having fun, because I'm also worried about what people think, like in the sense that like I don't want to make people feel bad, because I don't think it's their fault why I'm not having a good time. Even if I think it's like they're the like the way that you said, you know, like they're not enriching with the conversation, right? But I believe, like, the way I look at it is, it's my fault for putting myself in that situation. It's my fault for hanging out with those people who aren't on, you know, trying to conversate the way I'm trying to conversate, or whatever. And so I don't want to. If anything, I'd rather just not be noticed. You know, like I don't want people to notice me at all. You know, and sorry, but like, you know, and I don't know. It's tough, like in those situations. Yeah, were you gonna say something, Zach? I like you started talking. I kind of cut you off, but.
Oh, well, I was agreeing with you, but I also thought of something else.
Yeah.
I get really anxious when I'm at a party and I only know like 1 or 2 people, and I get really clingy to those people, and I get really anxious about it because I'm following those people everywhere.
Me too.
Yeah,
definitely,
totally.
Definitely,
and I used to do that a lot at family parties,
Oh
or
my
I still
gosh.
do that with Sydney, actually.
Mhm.
And then she always gets on my case about it, so I feel worse. And then I
Sorry,
feel bad
bro.
about doing it, like, with my friends. And then I just, like, don't have a good time.
Totally. No, I could totally relate to that. Like in the beginning of August, like a month ago, I went to my friend Anthem, who's been on the show a couple times, and to his birthday party, and he was doing a show. Actually, Sydney was supposed to go with me. That's why. So,
Yeah.
and she can't. She whatever reason she didn't go with me, and so I decided. But I was like, well, I'm not gonna bail on him. So I just like I went by myself, and then like I found myself just like clinging to him because I was like, I don't know anybody here, and then I was so relieved to see like somebody else that I knew, and then I just like spent a lot of time with them. But it was the same thing. I was just like clingy to them, like.
Yeah.
You know,
That's so true.
and like I'm going through a period right now where I'm not drinking,
Mhm.
and sometimes like alcohol is a really good crutch
Yeah.
to like dealing with social anxiety because it takes it away. Like I mean, and it sucks. Like, and I don't think I'm a bad drinker. I don't think I cause problems. I don't think I do bad things. I mean, you could ask other people, maybe they disagree, but like, from what I think, when I drink, I don't behave poorly in a way that I'm like, oh, I shouldn't drink, but I don't like that I use it as a crutch. I don't like that I feel like, man, if I don't drink, like,
I'm gonna feel all these things.
I'm gonna feel all these things. Because when I don't drink, I have a great time. Or when I do drink, I have a great time because I don't think about all these things. I'm not held back by all my social anxieties in these social settings, and
Mhm.
and so yeah, and so like at his thing, I went by myself. Obviously, I was driving home, so I didn't want to drink anyways. But I wasn't drinking, and I was just there soberly and trying to communicate with others and like strangers, and it just like was falling flat because it's like I get so caught up in my head that I can't speak.
That's so crazy. I used to do the clingy thing with my ex-boyfriend whenever he would bring me to parties. And it would always be his friends' parties. So there would rarely be someone that I like or know there. And so I'd always like stick to his side, and he'd always be playing whatever with his friends and just hanging out with his friends. And like we'd always have a fight after the party because I'd get mad that he brought me or that he didn't acknowledge me enough or whatever, and he expected me to socialize like him, but I just like I get so anxious, and then when it's people like I said that I feel like are not on my level of like even like not intelligence but like intellectualness, I don't know if that's a word, but I don't know, just like ability to have like a deep conversation at a party, it's like you have to be in a certain setting for that to happen. And yeah, so we would always get into fights, and it'd really just be me like not wanting to socialize with anyone because I'd be so anxious about it or like annoyed that I even came. But yeah.
It's weird too because like I think I'm an introvert, but like I can be like very outgoing in like situations, and like so I think a lot of like Vanessa's family, for example, like wouldn't see me as like someone who like struggles like socially, because one thing I've also learned how to do like over time is like wear a mask, and I can like perform, and I can go to these functions, and I can go to these social functions, and like literally it's like a performance where I can try, to seem like I'm having a great time. And maybe I am. And that's not to say I'm not having a great time. But like it takes so much out of me. Like so when I do this, I feel like terrible for a while, and then I get so much anxiety to like go back to something like that because I know how much I expend to put that mask on, if that makes sense. And it's so sometimes people like they don't get it. They're like, no way, like Brandon struggles with this thing because he doesn't show that to me, but I mask myself because I don't want people to see the real me, which is like terrified of interactions with people and all these things, I
think I'm the opposite, the extroverted, or wait, what is it? The introverted extrovert. Where like I could be a really social person, I just choose not to be. Like I choose to be reserved, and it takes a lot of energy to be like really social constantly, but it's very easy. Like it's very easy for myself to go there if I choose to,
Yeah.
But you brought that up with Anthem, your very first show, I think, about the come down after these like events, about like the emotional like drainage after. And I never feel that, or if I do, it's never something I'm thinking about going into the thing. Like I'm always just thinking about my time there and how it's never good. But like afterwards I feel great because I'm in my bed and I'm alone.
Yeah. See, and I will like often believe that I will have a good time, but but like when I'm there, maybe I won't. Or maybe I will. Maybe I still have a great time because I like the fact that I did this.
Yeah.
See, I don't look at it like, I try not to look at anything as wasted time, especially when I'm doing something. Sometimes I feel like wasted time is me just sitting on my couch, right? And so if I like go against like my laziness and like go like step up against my fears or whatever and do something, even if I like struggle through it, I don't necessarily feel like it was a bad time because I'm like, well, at least I tried this. I don't know. That makes sense. Sorry, just checking if you had any input, but it's okay if you don't have, if you're not feeling anything, just
you feeling it now?
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Because that's what this is all about, right? I mean, this isn't what I consider a group, but maybe it's what you consider a group.
No, I considered this a group. I was actually scared to come onto the show.
Yeah? Once I invited Zach?
I had anxiety about it. Yeah. Once you said Zach was coming, I was like, shoot, what am I going to talk about?
Yeah. I feel it. I feel you, I mean, it's easier, I think, sometimes with one-on-one. Because when there's a group of three, and I do the same thing, like I said, it's sometimes people talk to each other, and I don't even realize that I'm not like sometimes people can be just talking, and I'm like listening to them, and I'm like, go on,
yeah,
and I don't realize like, oh, like I'm not contributing to this conversation that these two people are having, and then it's the worst when you realize it, though. I mean, another example I can give is like, back to parties is like, for me, I do a lot of mental preparation for things. And, so like last week, for example, my fantasy football league, we have a draft party every year. And this year, by coincidence, it was falling on the day of the Mayweather fight. And rather than switch the day of our party, we're like, well, let's just do both. And but by doing the fight party as well, it brought about
more people.
Just different circumstances that I wasn't anticipating, even though maybe I should have.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, like, we went to do this draft, and like all these other people started coming, and for me, like, because I wasn't mentally prepared for that. If I went in knowing that there's going to be other people, I think I would have been more okay. But like just seeing other people that I didn't know, and I hadn't prepared myself for that. I had a total like freak out mode, like internally, and so it's not just like with I mean, I guess the mental preparation can go for a lot of other things as well, but especially when it comes to these group settings, like. If I don't mentally prepare myself for all these people, like, it throws me off. When I go to Vanessa's families every Monday, usually it's like the same group of people, but every once in a while, for whatever reason, like, or other people get invited, and all of a sudden there's a lot more people. And if I didn't mentally prepare myself to know that they were all gonna be there, it's just like I start freaking out because I'm like, oh, what? I didn't know there was gonna be like an additional family there, and I would have worn this T-shirt instead, and it's like stupid shit. But it's like I start mentally having like a little like, you know, breakdown, and yeah, it's crazy. I don't, you know, I mean, I don't. It's just, but it happens.
So it's so interesting that you brought up the Monday nights because Zach and I had a conversation about that. It was like, I think it was 4th of July or something that you invited us to Vanessa's, and I was telling Zach like, do you want to go? I don't really want to go because I hate going over to her family's house because of the social anxiety.
Yeah,
because I feel like Zach and I are outcasts and I don't know anyone there. So then I'm just like clinging to you, and I know you're really social at their house. And so, yeah, so that's why I told Zach, like, let's just not go.
I get it. I
But,
totally get
yeah.
it.
You know what I've been getting a lot of anxiety about in group settings is bringing the group down, because I'm like always in a bad mood or always just feeling like down and out, and you know, like not like have like light energy and stuff. And so I get anxiety about like going out with my friends and then killing the mood, and they all don't have fun because I wasn't having fun.
And do you think that you're actually killing the mood, or do you think that you just think that you're killing the mood? Like, do you think it's actually like you're actually like solely responsible for the reason why like the group's not having fun, or you know, do you think it's just something that you're mentally thinking?
Well, I think once it happens, we usually have fun, but it's like the mental preparation or like before, anxiety before going out, and I have to like really try to put myself in a good mood before I go out with them, because I'm so scared of like being like this weight on everyone.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's tough.
Yeah. No, yeah, like, no, for sure. Like, you know, it's, especially when you're having like anxiety and stuff, it's so hard to like walk in. You really don't want to walk into the situation because, you're like, you don't want to bring them down. You don't want to appear that like you're that fucked up or whatever, you know, like,
yeah.
And you know, because
then people ask questions, and that's the worst.
Oh, and they're like, "What's wrong?" And you're like, "Oh shit, I'm showing." I didn't realize it.
I'm peeking.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, not everything's cool.
Or I'll get like, "What's wrong?" And it's like every time I talk to my friends, and I'm like, "Well, nothing changed. Like I'm just feeling the same way I've been feeling."
Yeah,
it's not something new that happened.
I'm just feeling a type of feeling. Sorry, that's
stressed out.
It's Grover.
Bummed out.
Yeah, you know, it's tough, these situations, but you know, I have some other questions, you know, that maybe we can kind of think about. There's no real answer. I mean, you know, if you look online, you'll find plenty of answers. There's plenty of gurus out there, and you know, doctors that say what the fuck, you know, to do to get over stuff. And maybe they're right. Some of it to me sounds like bullshit. But anyways, I just have some questions, you know, that maybe we can find some answers to on our own. But why do you think this happens? Like, why do you think we go through social anxiety? I mean, maybe in general, or just, I mean, in this group settings. Like, why do you think most people are going through this when you're at a party?
I don't really think about it, actually. Everyone else usually seems like they're fine.
But then again, you act like you're fine.
Yeah.
So I think it's more common than we think, because when I share my thoughts about something, it's usually like, say I share my thoughts with 3 people, one other person will agree with me, you know, at least one other person. So I feel like it's more common, but also just depends on, I guess, our personality types, because I know there's people who like to talk just to talk, And that's another one of my things. Like, sometimes I'm quiet in those group settings because I don't like filler. I don't like to just fill the air with, you know, what the weather is like, you know. I always like talking about something that's important. So I think, like, those people who just like to be on all the time, like, of course they're not going to get anxious about it because that's their thing. Like, that's their home. That's where they feel good.
Socializing is their domain.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely right. You know, I don't know why we have it, you know, but yeah, I mean, maybe it is more common, and most people just aren't as social. I think social media and things like that make it worse, maybe. I mean, you claim to not use social media, but texting and communicating with each other electronically in general, which is something we do, regardless if you're on an app. I'm assuming. I think in some ways that makes it even harder for us to interact with each other. I don't know, because I've been using it for so long that, like, I don't remember what it was like back in my day. Back in my day, you know, it was just like different kinds of social media,
pagers.
basically. Yeah, I feel like with when I can write out my responses to things, I'm just like that's the best me. You know, like, that's the best socialized version of me. And
Yeah.
I'm not a good speaker. I do a podcast for some reason, but you know, it's like I enjoy socializing that way, but I also enjoy socializing with people in person. But maybe because social media exists and you're able to socialize in that way so easily, I guess, that I don't know, maybe it's even harder to have in-person interactions with others.
Sometimes I get more anxious about socializing with people over social media because I joke around with people a lot, but it's really hard to
translate it.
Yeah,
or sarcasm and stuff.
Yeah,
yeah.
A lot of my humor is dry or sarcastic, and it's really hard to get that across on social media, so people just get confused.
That's a good point. No, that's a really good point. And you know, and there's a lot of anxiety that, you know, and this could probably be even just a topic for another day, but I think there's a lot of anxiety involved with thinking of the right thing to say because you have time to do that, and seeing things like sending a message off and
seeing if they read it or not.
Waiting for them to respond to it or not. You know, because if I'm here with you in person and I say something to you,
you're going to see my reaction.
I'm going to see your reaction. Even if you don't say anything, I'm going to know by your body language, most likely, you know, what the response is. And, you know, so yeah, there's a lot of, it's just a new layer of social anxiety, through text messaging or through social media where, you know, for example, when you send something, send a message to someone and they don't respond, but then you see them doing other stuff on social media, you know, and that just adds another layer, right? So
you're I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah. So I would say, social media doesn't. I don't know that it causes the in-person social anxiety, but I'm sure it causes, or I'm sure it creates its own versions of social anxiety, I guess.
Well, I can think of a way it can help. So, say just being on a team is a form of social media because it's a platform that you can be social with people and form friendships.
Okay.
And so, sometimes being on a team, those are default friends that you have, and it makes it easier to socialize, and it makes it easier to go out to things when you know it's people who have to stay on the team for how many ever weeks, you know. You're going to see them for how many ever times every day sometimes, you know. So for me, when I think of going out with my teammates, I feel a little bit more at ease if I know it's going to be a bigger group. I mean, I still get anxious because especially if they add other people that I don't know, then obviously I'm going to be anxious. And also just I don't want to make a fool of myself you know. But I find that easier than hanging out with people from school or people from high school that I used to be really close with, just because, I don't know, like I know they're still going to be there tomorrow, you know, regardless, because they have to be.
Yeah. You kind of touched on some of them, but I want to like put the question out. If like things that make it harder to in the group settings, so new people, that's like totally one for me. New people, it's like, so, and you can kind of go with, you know, both, like you can be with let's say a group of 3 friends that you know. If it's just a stranger to all of us, that's not that difficult to me.
No, but it's when they know them.
When they all know that person and I don't.
Yeah,
it's like I'm totally, like, it kills me.
Yeah, me too.
When I only know one person, like you mentioned before, and you don't know everybody else, really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Smoking weed, like, I think smoking weed helps my anxiety, like other anxieties that I have. But social anxiety, it makes it go up. Oh my god, me. Yeah, group settings, it's so hard, and that's why I try to not ever do that, because it fucks me up. It makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
Hey, who's listening to this? I'm just kidding.
Everybody.
Can I share my 2 cents?
Yeah. I mean, you can share whatever you want to share. I don't know who listens, okay. But
confidential.
You know, it's just like, but I definitely think like, smoking weed helps with other problems I have, but when you go out into a group setting, the worst thing like I could do is smoke weed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I have another one.
Yeah.
Different gender. So for me, males. I don't know if it's a group of, say I go out with 3 of my girlfriends and we're meeting up with guys, it just makes it like skyrocket. Not because necessarily like we're all supposed to be paired off with the guys, but just because guys always seem to point out the fact that I am being like quiet or reserved. I don't know, way more than females, because I feel like females don't really care about other girls. Like, they're worried about themselves and how they look. But like guys will be like, right off the bat, why are you being quiet? Why aren't you saying anything? You know, are you shy? And they just really like to put you on the spot. Maybe that's a generalization, but all the guys I've encountered in social groups, they've always been like that.
I was gonna use that I as like an example too. Like, my male to female ratio is usually like a big determinant for me. So, but I'm like the opposite, you know, or I'm the same actually. So the same, even
with
though,
males.
but yeah. So
yeah.
If I walk into a group and it's like mostly women, I actually do have less anxiety, and I can usually actually communicate a lot better.
Same.
Me too.
So yeah, when I'm paired off with like more dudes, I don't know. I actually like fail a lot more. I have a hard time interacting with other dudes. I think I'm like a lot different than a lot of dudes, maybe. I don't know, but it's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Same for you? Yeah.
Well, I feel like you guys are both similar, but you're very different than other guys. So that's why you would share that.
No,
that same anxiety.
Makes sense.
Also, older people. But so I tend to hang out with older people, or find older people to hang out with more than my peers. But it's like a certain age group. So like, say when I was a sophomore, I would be fine with juniors, I would be fine with freshmen, but the seniors I would be scared of. So like, say now that I'm 19 and I'm a sophomore in college, it would be like those people who are like 22, 23 that I'm scared to hang out with. Or even sometimes like Alyssa's older friends, like Alyssa's friends, if I'm around them, I get like nervous because I'm too young at that point. Or, you know, even though I like those settings better because they talk about more interesting things, but I get like really scared when I go into like older people. No, definitely.
But yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that can trigger it, you know, and I don't know if those are things to blame. I think the you know, there's something with our anxiety, and that's what it is. But there's definitely things that make it harder, and things that can make it better too, you know. And you also kind of touched on when people call you out for being quiet. Like, how do you feel about that, or how do you respond? You know, like
that's the worst. Sydney would do it to me all the time in like family settings, any setting where you're there together, because I used to mumble a lot, and so I would say something, and she'd be like, "What did you say? Speak up!" and like yell when I'm trying to just talk to her because I don't want other people around to hear what I'm talking about. And then so I would just say, and everyone like looks over, and I just say, "Oh, never mind. I don't want to talk about it anymore."
wow.
Sorry, bro.
way to increase his anxiety.
I mean, now I know these things about him, but before I didn't know.
Yeah.
Or he would tell me he would get embarrassed, but I didn't think it was like a big deal. I just thought, oh, I'm embarrassing him.
No, you know, it makes sense though.
You know?
I think we can all evolve mentally in the way we handle things and the way we treat each other and understand.
Alyssa?
Yeah. One day I'll be a better brother. Do you ever feel like your quietness, and which I guess Sydney's maybe is intentional, but do you ever feel like your quietness in a group setting comes off as hostile, or like as a person that dislikes everybody in the room?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've actually heard that. One of my friend's friend, or boyfriend, actually, ex-boyfriend, but he was talking about me to her. He was like, you know, he just looks like he thinks he's better than everyone else. He just looks like he has much better things to do with his time. And that's not how I feel. I just don't talk to people.
That's funny, because I was telling Zach this also, that when I would go to these parties with Caesar and I wouldn't talk or whatever, and we would fight about it, he would say that I come off as stuck up or that I'm too good for everyone. But in reality, I do think I'm too good for everyone.
I was just going to say, your conversations are not intellectual enough for me. Don't try to make me laugh. I don't want to laugh.
It would actually be true. I am hostile.
Yes.
But I guess I did come off that way. So.
I mean, I think because I try so hard to do the mask thing and and because I'm so aware that I'm being quiet sometimes, I do sometimes feel like I come off that way if I really get stuck, but I do actively try to combat that so I don't. But then I probably just look stupid. I'll have a stupid smile on my face.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm happy, guys. And they're like, this weirdo. He's not talking, just sitting there smiling, looking like a creep. But one is Vanessa. I feel like she has very, she's not on the show to speak to her, so she's on the couch and it's oh, is she awake? She can run over here. But I know she's very quiet, and it's very similar, reasonings in group settings, and especially family events or friend events, and people think she just hates them all, and I mean she does. No, but that's just that's her. She's quiet, and she's that with all group settings, and but if you get her in a small group, she opens up more, and isn't the same way as hostile. She's still pretty hostile. That's not the right word. She's hostile as fuck, but a little bit less less hostile. Trying to think of a better word, but it wasn't coming
serious.
to me. Yeah, less serious.
Stuck up.
Yeah, because I think people get the wrong impression when you're quiet. People just assume the worst.
Yeah.
And because I've been guilty of that, thinking that about other people before.
I don't think I have.
But I've also learned to not be that way. If I see someone being quiet, to not. Well, maybe who knows what the fuck's going on in their head. I'm not gonna assume they hate everybody.
I'm like actually happier when there's quiet people so that I can talk to them.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's my kind of people.
I'm like, oh, I can have a good conversation.
Yeah,
That'll make me laugh.
For sure. Like, actually, my sister-in-law is a good example of that because, like, Vanessa's family thought she just doesn't like anybody because she's quiet, or she used to be quiet anyway. She's not really quiet anymore. But, you know, like, I would just talk to her because I'm like, oh, cool, she's, like, quiet. And then I'm like, oh, no, she's just, like, shy, you know. She's just, like, people don't talk to her, really. They're just afraid of her because she doesn't talk. And so they just assume she hates them all. But you get her, like, one-on-one or, like, you know, me and Vanessa with her, and she's, like, she can't shut up, you know, so. So, you know, it's just, you never know what people are going through. So when you're in a group situation, like, I feel like don't assume somebody's, like, a hater or an asshole just because they're quiet. Sometimes, like, you know, the quiet people are the ones that are the good ones. It's the ones that are loud as fuck. You're like, dude, stop being an asshole.
Just stop hogging the spotlight.
All right. And, like, to kind of, you know, wrap it up, what do you think we could do to not have this happen to me or you? Like, I mean, this is, you know, we're going to MSW this bitch right now.
You know what really helps me, actually, is my friends, because they're really outgoing, the group of friends that I have. And even though some of them are actually extroverts, some of them just, like, fake it. But they've helped me when I'm with them in group settings. I become a lot more outgoing, and I talk to people I normally wouldn't talk to. And so that has helped me, having, like, outgoing friends.
All right.
I've never had
friends.
a group. I mean, I just, like I said earlier, I don't put myself in, like, good group settings, so it just makes me want to be a hermit. So, like, that would be my solution. Like, when I have a shitty time out with friends, I would just say, like, all right, I'm not going to talk to those people anymore, or I'm not going to go out anymore. So, like, my solution would be, like, the opposite, to, like, not get better, just close in on myself. But I feel like that's not a real solution. I guess just finding new friends, that's all I can do. Because I am a social person. I just don't like to be.
I think finding new friends is probably important for you.
Yeah.
And I also, I suggest, you confront why you think you're better than everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Or find other
I think
narcissistic.
it's a maturity. That's the word.
Yeah.
You said find narcissistic people?
Find other narcissistic friends. 'Cause my best friend is just as narcissistic as I am, and that's how we get along so well.
See? There you go.
We both think we're better than everyone.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's what it is.
you just need to find people you relate to. That's a problem you have.
It's a really big problem.
It's hard. It's hard. So we're going to wrap the show up. Sorry, I was reading my note, and it says, thank you for sharing today, but I swear I read it, and it said, thank you for sharding today, and I was like, wow, how did that get past me? But thank you for sharding all this information today. And but honestly, like, this conversation, it's important, just talking, and I recommend it if anyone's listening, or just us and, our lives. It's important to talk about the things going on in your life, and being open and honest, I really think is very, very important to overcoming some of this shit. And but we're not experts, and I want to make that clear also. So if you are experiencing any issues, we gave you some options that maybe you could try out, but you can also go online. A really important one, depression, the Anxiety and Depression Society of America, ADAA.org. And if you're really feeling all alone, feel free to hit me up anytime, like email and stuff. But if you really, really need to talk to someone and you're feeling suicidal, 1-800-273-TALK. Very important. It's don't end. Sometimes people tweet very like suicidal things, and I get really concerned, and you know, looking at somebody here, and I'm like, well, should I send them this hotline? Should I like DM them? But no, seriously, anybody out there, hit this number up or hit me up. Brandon at Brandon Gurnick's Instagram, Twitter, or the show at This Is Happymess. Mess, not Ness. Is there anything you'd like to add before we start wrapping this out?
No.
I mean, we are wrapping up, but I mean, is there anything you want to add before we finish?
You're getting kicked off.
Yeah. This is the ending.
You're done.
Would you like to last thing? Do you want to be reached anywhere? Well, you can't be.
No.
Apparently. And Zach's got an Instagram that's
said no.
that's private, and he won't even let me follow it. So that's awesome. I don't even know what it is. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And thanks for inviting yourself on.
Thanks, Zach. You weren't even supposed to be here.
Thanks for giving me the sympathy invite. I would have come on to that. And remember that even if you can't always find happiness, you can always find a way to make it a happy mess.
Okay.
Is that too corny to end? I'm trying things out here.
No.
That was rough.
That was rough.
Oh my god.
Okay. Well,
Maybe next time.
Thanks for adding to my anxiety. Have a great week.
Are we holding our breath? Are you really so depressed? Sometimes it's hard to remember you're my friend. So I talk to you through my songs And I know I'm being cold and acting guarded, but I can't get stoned, so I'm alone at the party. And how we danced at the show, even with our bags and coats. I knocked into your elbow and almost fell onto the floor. I was all arms and legs when I looked into your face, but now I'm bruised and buckling. Did you notice we were touching? And I know I'm being cold and acting guarded, but I can't get stoned, so I'm alone at the party. And I can tell you're afraid, and I hate to see you that way, but I could be your loner if you would be my stoner. And I don't know if it means a thing to you, maybe partly, but I'm glad to know you're sad to feel alone at the party.
That was Alone at the Party by Eskimo. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Please subscribe, like, share. This is Happy Mess any way possible. Have a great day.